Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
A lovely morning to you once again, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra, and I'm Robert Kirabo, Nyonyintono, in case you've just joined us. Well, today we are discussing a very interesting topic, and that is patriotism. Very interesting. We've always had discussions. Is patriotism taught? Should one's love for the country be taught? Is it a result as what the state has done, that people should love the state? Or is it an inborn responsibility that by the fact you're a Ugandan, you should love your country, cherish your country, regardless of what situation you're in? Today I'm honored to have two gentlemen that I believe by closure of this program, you have learned so much regarding patriotism, being patriotic, and know that the onus is upon you regardless of whatever you're going through. Join me to welcome, that is Kangave Modi, who happens to be the National Chairperson of Private Teachers Platform Uganda, and also the General Secretary, that is the Coalition of Private Schools, Teachers Association and Unions. Kangav, you're most welcome to our studios.
Thank you, sir. Good morning, viewers, and thank you. I can say God is good because we are still alive.
Indeed, God is good. When I see a teacher today in our studios, one of the sectors that was best hit or most hit by COVID-19. How have you been striving, because you come from the private teachers bit of it?
Thank you very much. Allow me to remove this mask a bit. First of all, I want to greet everyone, and I want to say that our teachers, honestly, have been surviving right now on God's mercy. Because, two years down the road, they have not been working, especially those in the private sector. So, I believe everything will be okay and they will begin working.
I love the mercy of God, which endures forever. I can see you looking good.
Thank you.
So great is thy faithfulness. On the extreme side, I have Lieutenant Richard Mugisha, Communications Officer, National Secretariat for Patriotism Groups, Office of the President. Mugisha, you're most welcome.
Thank you.
How have you been?
I'm very great. By God's grace, we are pushing on despite the challenges. Good morning, viewers. I send my sympathies to those who have lost their loved one because of COVID, and those who are still bedridden. But with God's grace, we shall go through this. We have had many challenges. This one will come and go. Well,
today we are going to be looking at patriotism. But Mugisha happens to be a long-time friend of mine. He's also a journalist by profession, so we did the same. That was when we were studying journalism. But Mugisha, there's this argument we always had. I must say he has been a man of patriotism all the time, even when we were at campus. And I always argued with you that is patriotism inborn or a responsibility by virtue of being born in that particular part of the world or country, or is it something that we can teach? Let's begin at our long argument. Let's get at it again.
Thank you, Kirabo. But before I get to that question, I need to maybe to reintroduce myself again. I'm Lieutenant Richard Mugisha. I'm the Communications Officer of the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, Uganda. It's a department under the Office of the President, specifically mandated to develop patriotism ideology in secondary school. Our mandate is between students of senior one up to university. We normally call them students of post-primary up to tertiary institutions. While we coordinate clubs in schools, this initiative was started by His Excellency the President in 2009. And in his wisdom, he was looking at the deteriorating values the way people look at their country. And you will agree with me, those who have been keen, that young people today know much about other countries than they know for on their country. They also cherish, they feel that all what they see about other countries is good, even if it's bad in other countries. Here, they feel that it is good. So people, so His Excellency in 2009 established the National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, and since then we have been actively getting into schools, and our main task is to tell these young people that please, whereas you might say that you might not be getting whatever you want in this country, but also a little you get, which is not even a little anyway, because when you see this country is one of the best countries, we have the greatest potential. If you can look at the wealth we have, the natural resources, the climate, but still our younger people have not appreciated that. So His Excellency tasks the Secretariat to go out and explain that. And in our explanation, we normally summarize patriotism into a single statement. Patriotism is the love and commitment to sacrifice for the country. You can do anything else, but sacrifice, love, and commitment is what patriotism is all about. Now, you have said, to get back onto your question, Kirabo, that has been a very common question, and actually we put it as one of the frequently asked questions. Is patriotism born or taught or born? Patriotism, even if you summarize it, you call it love. Love is not natural. Love is developed. We always tell the children or the students we meet, and we tell them that when you are born, when you are young, the day you are born, you don't know your mother. You don't know anyone who is your relative, even a father. But the nurturing you get from your mom, the continuous attention she gives you, the feeding, the so that's what makes you, that is teaching. You are taught to love. You cannot say that I naturally love that person. No, you are taught to love. Love is a social construction. We construct it. Now, patriotism is constructed by values that we cherish as a society. Not there are some Ugandans who are here who are not patriotic, who don't love this country. But incidentally, they are foreigners who love this country, because they have accepted us and they share the values we cherish. There is a value of love, the value of sacrifice, the value of hard work, the value of godliness, the value of time management. So if you share those values, if you share the values we share, then you can qualify to say that I'm a patriot. Those values are not inborn. Values are constructed in you. I normally like listening to the Katikiro of Uganda. Ensonga za Buganda sema songa. He will never forget to remind people of those values, because that's what makes them Uganda. And if you don't share that, even if you are called so and so, and you are told that you can kulanya the way you can tell your lineage, it does not qualify you to be a Muganda. You can only qualify to be a Muganda if you share the values that Uganda share.
Well, Mugisha, you talked about sharing values, and you said patriotism is socially constructed.
Yes.
To ensure that people get to know these values, people get to appreciate their country, appreciate who they are and how they are honored or blessed to belong to that particular part of the
Very
world.
good. You have put it right.
Many a times we've had challenges where, much as we can tell people these values that you've talked about, even finding out if we really have common values as a country, that when you go out, talk about patriotism, these are the common values. One time I was in Israel. I met a very young boy, and this young boy told me there is no country in the world that is greater than Israel. So I tried to ask my colleagues that how come everybody I'm finding here, they seem to love Israel, a country I look at, and maybe apart from the biblical teachings, I wouldn't just look at like weather, all that. They told me, for us, right from day one, we inculcate that into that child. So that I can agree with you based on that story. But then we have a question of defining, and I beg to tell us if there are common values in this country that bring us together. And there I would judge that this person is patriotic or not because they seem not to be abiding by these values. Oh, we can join the crusade.
So incidentally, people confuse the values and the norms. We may not have a universal norms as a country because sometimes what is normal to a Muchiga might not be normal to a Rugwara or an Acholi. That is a norm. But the value is something that we share. And if you feel it, I feel it. A value of love. Is there anyone who doesn't want to be loved? That is a value. That's a national value. Feeling that if I feel I should be loved, then I should love others. I have a duty to love others. There is a value of sacrifice. If I have sacrificed, almost whatever we get, success, there is no success, or they normally say that there is no success that comes without pain. Pain is simply, they mean you cannot have success unless you sacrifice. We got into education, throughout those years, it wasn't a comfortable ride. But we knew that there is a future to lead. And we sacrificed. So sacrifice is a value. We also cherish a value of knowledge. Ugandans we tell students must excel in class because they have a future. Not their only future, but the future for this country. They must study for this country. We talk about time management as a value. Who doesn't want to, who really wants to come here and wait for someone for another 30 minutes or 1 hour? That is something, if I feel it, you feel it as well. So, values are there. It's only that people don't know the values, and actually it's not about knowing, it's about consciousness. So, in patriotism, we get those values, then we bracket it into a word called national consciousness. Love should be love for the country. Sacrifice should be sacrifice for the country. Knowledge should be knowledge to serve the country or to help the people. Actually, the president put it in his directive that knowledge should not be for enslaving others, but knowledge should be for serving or developing others. Time management, hard work. Hard work is a value. And when they tell you, when you inculcate those values, some of these questions will go, some of these vices will go. A value of responsibility, a value of trust, honesty, integrity, a value of accountability. These are common values. For us as a secretariat, we simply unpack them to these students. And I must thank the teachers. Many of the teachers try their level best. Though they are faced with a generational challenge, probably which we shall discuss.
And this brings me to the teacher I have with us this morning, Kangavi.
Yes, sir.
When you talk about patriotism, one person once said you can only give what you have. You can't give beyond what you have.
Very true.
Having an assessment of teachers today, we've seen so much happening in the teaching fraternity. We've seen some absconding from duty, yet they're in government schools. Even when they're being paid on time, they abscond from duty. We've seen demonstrations in schools. We've seen so much where the voice of those are not patriotic. How prepared, how equipped, how patriotic are the teachers to pass on this message?
Yeah, thank you very much. Honestly speaking, I want to tell you that I want to thank the teachers outside there. One, they are very patriotic. Like Mr. Mugisha put it, one's love, one's commitment, one's zeal to defend, to sacrifice for his or her country. In the first place, when you look at teachers in private schools, for example, the situation we are in now, 2 years down the road, without working, have you seen any teacher on the street, demonstrating? That's the level of patriotism.
That is sacrifice, I accept.
That is sacrifice.
Yes.
When you come to the students we are teaching, since the introduction of the patriotism in schools, we have seen a significant fall in the number of strikes in schools. And the implementers of this are the teachers. They've formed patriotism clubs in schools. They've been patrons of these patriotism clubs. They've taught these students, the post-primary students, the values. For example, oneness. It's like regardless of your tribe, regardless of your religion, we are one. We are Ugandans. And in that, our message is Uganda first. We have values like tolerance. Somebody comes, maybe tries to start a fight, but you tolerate that situation. We have values like self-awareness, self-esteem. So all that breeds into, brings these students, maybe we end up with at least future good citizens. And I believe teachers have played this role, and we really thank them for that. Secondly, like Mr. Mugisha put it, love is not natural. Likewise, hate is not natural. In fact, according to one Nelson Mandela, in his book, A Long Walk to Freedom, he said, hate is not natural, but it's taught. If it's taught, it can be untaught. Likewise, love, it means the moment you unteach hate, you're teaching love. So how do we teach this young generation to love their nation? How do we teach this young generation? We can do this, one, after studying our history. When you look at our country, where have we come from? Where are we? And where do we want to be? And I think that's the basic of the patriotism in those, the young generation we are having. Yes, please.
Well, very interesting. Teachers are patriotic. I've loved that, the example you've given, that yes, we've not seen them hit the streets, though at some instances we've seen some high institutions strike after strike, but all is patriotism can be taught. And this is what these people are focusing at. Soon I'll be going for a short break, but when I return, Lieutenant Mugisha, who is with us here, and Kangave, who will be discussing more regarding patriotism. And I believe by the time we end this show, many of you will have now turned into patriotic people, loving the nation, sacrificing for the nation, ensuring there is love and we are one is what we are pushing for. Maybe some of the vices in this country, then we'll go. I don't see how a patriotic person would swindle money meant for others to feed at such a time. But when we return, that and more.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Uganda. Today is a great day to work towards your dreams. Dial star 185 star 7 hash and select savings to save as low as 500 Ugandan shillings on regular savings or 250,000 Ugandan shillings for fixed deposits. Airtel Money Super Saver is powered by KCB Bank Uganda. Airtel Money, instant, secure, borderless. T's and C's apply.
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear a mask properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
Patriotism is a feeling of love, devotion, and the willingness to sacrifice for one's country.
I say no to corruption because I put my country first. I choose peace over violence because I put my country first.
I love Uganda. I serve Uganda. I sacrifice for Uganda. I'm loyal to Uganda. I love myself.
Be patriotic. Uganda first. This message is brought to you by the National Secretariat for Patriotism Co Uganda, Office of the President.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda Extra.
Good morning once again, and thank you for keeping it on UBC TV. We are craving for a country where Ugandans are patriotic, because we know then we shall have less evils in society. People will not gang up, maybe to go and rob someone, but above all, even effective service delivery in this country will flourish. I'll get back to the teacher I have in studios. When you talk about patriotism, yes, Mugisha told us this is something that is taught. How do you teach it? Do you have a menu? Is it there are books? Is it like just other clubs where those that are willing come? I was in Interact when I was in school, not everybody was. We have the scouts. So how is it taught?
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, patriotism in schools is taught. One, we have it's included on the curriculum.
Okay.
We have books, and these students undergo trainings. You know, showing love is portrayed in the way you do actions and deeds, the willingness, the sacrifice. So after those trainings in the clubs, sometimes even the National Secretariat helps us. Of recent, we had the training of the teachers from private schools. First batch was about 300 teachers. Second batch had around 500 teachers, all from private schools. And yeah, this one helps when they go back, whatever they've learned in that process, they instill it in the new generation. And my prayer would be if this very thing is put down to the lower level, at least upper primary, so that these children, when you got countries like US, children are taught from childhood that USA is the best country. So they get to know that one from childhood.
The American dream.
The American dream. So if this one is done in Uganda at that early age, maybe we wouldn't find problems when teaching it in higher institutions of learning. You wouldn't be seeing strikes. You wouldn't be seeing corrupt officials. You wouldn't be seeing people who swindle government fund and all of that, because such people lack patriotism. But if these children are taught patriotism, if these children are taught how to love their country, and they are taught how they must defend, how they must sacrifice for their country, instead of maybe taking whatever would be belonging to the country for their own gains. They would instead be putting in theirs for the country's gain.
Mugisha, coming to you, one of the hindrances I find when you talk about patriotism, teaching patriotism, is people have failed to differentiate between such clubs, such groupings, and activities of the National Resistance Movement Party. Actually, many would not even be welcoming such initiatives because they think it is a party or it is something. So where do we draw the line? I remember there was a group that were going to Nali. It was still under patriotism. They're indoctrinating you into NRM activities. So where do we draw the line? Clarify on this issue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Kirabo. But I want just to allow me a little bit to compliment Mr. Kangave's submission on how they teach patriotism. Yeah, as we said, patriotism is a set of values, the one I unpacked, and in schools, that's what we normally don't. Actually, we don't teach them to love the country, but we teach them what it means to love the country. Yeah, because every Ugandan you meet, you ask him, and he will say that I love this country. But he's among the corrupt people. He's the man who hit people with Utaimbwa. They are doing all sorts. They want to destroy the environment. So we normally unpack these values to students. And to start with, the Patriotism Club is responsible for reading the national anthem on the assembly. If they are singing the national anthem and all the values that goes with it, respecting the national anthem, they raise the flag every morning because the flag shows that the country is active. Then these clubs have activities which are very defined. There is the Patriotism Garden School where you inculcate values of hard work. We tell them about time management. We tell them about being godly, self-respect, all those. And they are not in the curriculum that they get in a class and then you examine them. The reason His Excellency chose to start with senior one, not primary, was looking at a level when a person is starting to understand things and consciously understand that if I'm singing the national anthem, I'm singing it with passion because I love the country. And as a student, a pupil, P1, P3, will sing it well. But he will just sing. That's why you hear, oh, Uganda, may God fall in. They don't pick the words. And, it's something that we have been meeting in a number of forums where we go for sensitization. People have called on that, and we appreciate it. But one of the reasons was that. But another reason is, of course, the budget, the constraints of resources. So I wanted also to add on that because people normally ask us those questions. Then about the NRM and patriotism. One, I must make it a bit clear that NRM is the government, is the one in government. What other people don't know is that if a program is of government is implemented by the government in power. That is one. People normally, and I don't know why they choose to look at patriotism, not UNEB, because, for example, even examination, annual examination is set by a government. The government might choose, I said, we shall do exams in 2 years. It can choose to say that PRE should be eliminated and we want to do senior 4. So there is that confusion. Some of them are in advantage, they don't have information, but there are those who deliberate, they want to do what? To misguide the people. But for starters, Roman 29 of the National Objective of State Policy Principles states that enjoyment of rights and enjoyment and exercise of rights are inseparable from performing your duties. And among top on the duty is being patriotic. Meaning that you don't have any right in Uganda. You cannot enjoy any right in Uganda if you are not performing duties. You can't claim that there is no, I should go to the hospital and I get medicine if you are not paying taxes. If we are not paying taxes, it means we don't have a right to claim that the government should give us. I'm giving that as an example. But basically, all rights here are attached to duties and responsibilities. Every right you think of.
Let me just give you this question, Rush, in relation to that. Someone has asked, unfortunately, the name is not, please, if you're sending a message on our WhatsApp number, please have your name there. But says, good morning, gentlemen. Young men and women learn more by seeing than listening to patriotism advocates. Patriotism is a spirit that is nurtured by positive rewards and discouraged by negative rewards. The nature and nurture of shaping our patriotic behavior as far as now is going down due to how the state they call their own treats them in times they need it most. Take an example of young men whose dad has lost capital due to state not listening to his application to take stock out of the arcade. So this one is looking at the reactions that yes, if it is all exemplary, that those in authority are showing, exhibiting acts of patriotism, then the young generation will be automatic. But if it is on the other way around, then however much you preach, you may not get fruits.
Yeah, before I respond to that, I wanted to drive my point home about the government and the NRM, I mean the patriotism. Patriotism, I mean, as I have said, first of all, people should understand that as there is no way you will detach a government in power and the programs that are run. Patriotism is a government program. So I have no regret, or I cannot stand here and I distance myself from the government because I work for the government. So patriotism. Then secondly, if these are values, as there is a value of love, life, value of sacrifice, value of hard work, value of time management, value of knowledge, value of goldenness. If indeed NRM or any other party cherishes those values, I won't regret saying that I'm part of it. I don't know whether I'm understood. Because these are values I cherish. If they are the values that they cherish, I won't apologize for that. Because I think they are the right values that a human being must have. And if any other party cherishes those values, then we shall associate with it. I don't know whether I have answered the question. Then about the examples and the situation at hand, he has given an example. You know, there is this misconception that patriotism, love for the country, depends on what you get from that country. What you get from the country and what you feel about the country has nothing to do with a person. I mean, it has no connection in terms of patriotism. And I will give you an example. I was in Somalia personally, as you have heard. I'm an army officer. But even after 20 years, a Somali you will find in Jinja will cherish Somalia. They are here to look for money, but they will take back their money. They feel they have a duty to build Somalia. This attachment we have on this land, a shop in Nabugabo, a land, a plot in Jinja, a plot in Guru, this ownership comes and go, but the country remains. We are looking at an entity of a country, not an individual possession. It would be ideal that all of us enjoy this country and feel. And I really sympathize with those who have met conditions like he has said. But the bottom line is that we have a duty to build this country, to make it better, to eliminate those challenges together, not you struggling. The problem here is everyone struggling for himself and then God for us all. And sometimes
being unpatriotic.
That's where unpatriotism comes in. But it comes from the bottom line that we lack love, we lack sacrifice, we lack empathy. Those people who take decisions that oppress others, they are not doing it because they are not doing it on behalf of Uganda. They are doing it because that's what they feel, and they at one point they missed a patriotism training to inculcate those values. I normally give an example of what makes someone a Catholic. What makes you a Catholic is not what you put on.
The rosary.
The rosary, even going to church every Sunday, it's not what makes a Catholic. What makes a Catholic is the value of Catholicism in you. There are things that you feel as a Catholic you can't do. What makes a Muslim is the values. It's not what he possesses. It's not about what the church has given you. It's about what you believe in. So that is where we got that misconception that if I have not had lunch, then why should I love this country? Then when tomorrow, if you hate it today and you don't plant food and you don't work for tomorrow and you don't work for this country to develop, what if you get food tomorrow?
Let me bring in Kangave. Kangave.
Yes, please.
With affairs surrounding this country, the gap for patriotism is evident. And I know as teachers, there's so much you have to do. What have been some of the outstanding challenges that on your journey to ensure you preach the gospel of patriotism, for me I want to call it the gospel, because that goes with the love, good conduct, morals. What have been the major challenges that have come your way?
Thank you very much. One, like he put it, the first challenge is financial constraint to take it to all those levels that are supposed to. But secondly,
where does money come in instilling values, love? Why would we even issues of patriotism forward money? Because I think this
like he said, this program, it is a new program. During our ages, when we were in schools, we didn't have it as a program. When we were in secondary, when we were at the university, we didn't have it. But this young generation is having it. People who are instilling it, us, did not have it. That means we must first learn. That was the first thing. Secondly, the young generation looks at some of the people who are not showing a good example. Now, those who are not showing a good example, honestly, are deterring us. They are taking us back. Somebody says, if somebody has taken 10 billion, now this university student will think, even if I don't graduate, even if I don't have those values, maybe when I got office I will do the same. So partly we are having bad examples. Another challenge we are having is that some of these young people come from families that are already biased about patriotism. By that, some people, they believe patriotism is brainwashing someone to the NRM ideology. Actually, it's not. Patriotism is beyond NRM. Patriotism is for this country, whether NRM is here or not. So it's one's love. It's how do these people, how does this young child, maybe this student, the young generation, what do they see in 10 years to come, in 20 years to come, how do they want their country to be? That should be our point one. Then another challenge we are having is negative comments. Can I call it negative energy, negative forces? We have some people who will always trash whatever will come their way, whether good or bad. That's lack of patriotism. For example, for us as private teachers, by the way, let me use this platform to thank the Right Honorable Prime Minister. She has been giving out the relief fund through the Ministry of Gender. Honestly, all teachers did not get, but at least a number of teachers got. And I believe that gesture, I believe the way I'm seeing her doing her things, there is that level of patriotism. And to those who didn't get, they should not hate the country because they've not got. No. It's like if they have not got that chance, maybe work hard, find another way. In fact, like a private teachers platform Uganda, right now, we are on a campaign drive to solicit assistance to the teachers in private schools who are not doing well. But what I'm trying to say is that their spirit of patriotism, their love for the country, some of them are in their homes without food. Some of them are in their homes when they are having accumulated bills. But they've not come by the, I've seen different groups of people in this very period on streets. These people are there. I believe they trust whatever is going on. They appreciate because they know that COVID is real. It's life first. And but one thing I would appeal to the government, in line with patriotism, these people need to get vaccinated. And that's what I also tell you as teachers in the patriotic way. Please, if time for vaccination comes, please go and get vaccination so that we proceed with our country. So
I love the fact that government was patriotic enough to look at people who would first benefit from vaccination, and among them were the teachers. So it's upon them. More hope every year arises. We believe we'll be getting more vaccines and more people will be vaccinated, but also be patriotic enough to take the vaccine. Now, Mugisha, time is not so much on our side, but do we have enough patriotism ambassadors in this country? I've been reading through the messages and many seem to be similar, where they're saying it seems the generation in authority today may not be good ambassadors. So it's good we look for the new generation, instill these values in them, so that even when they grow up and occupy places of leadership, we'll see their actions speak patriotism and not their word of mouth.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's true. I entirely agree with people who think that part of inculcating patriotism is role modeling. But we also have to understand that in patriotism starts with you. You know, there have been a lot of castigation of people who do A, who do B, who do C. And the one finger that points there leaves like these three fingers pointing at themselves. That's why as a country we need to deliberately choose that if we have chosen patriotism, let's live patriotic life. And we have done it in schools, because when you see the behaviors of many people, I mean, when you look at the people, even the children themselves, when they're talking about the corruption, I've seen, you see, corruption starts from the homes. There are so many people, there are so many things, without going into detail, there are so many things that parents do with their children which qualify to be called corruption. But because it is at home, we leave it there. And it starts there, from home to school to where we do what? We simply need to deliberately choose to live a patriotic life. We need to adopt values of patriotism as a way of living. Even if you leave these children today, because the people who are coming, who are eating money, who are corrupt, are part of our society. And this society, by the way, cherishes corruption.
Glorified.
Yeah. If you are in a position and you are not stealing, then you are fala. Then someone who steals and constructs, then you are, you're mwana mugezi. So generally, we must deliberately, as a country, decide today that we have chosen to live a patriotic life, and we discard almost all of these habits that we have been in, so that we groom a generation. And this is what we are doing at the National Secretariat.
Well, I want to thank you so much. That is Lieutenant Richard Mugisha, Communications Officer, National Secretariat for Patriotism Corps, Office of the President. Thank you so much. Yeah. And I just hope that, yes, this gospel spreads far and far to cover the entire country. And of course, we get those that are converted. Then also I want to thank Akanga Vemudi, who is the National Chairperson of Private Teachers Platform Uganda, but also the General Secretary, that is the Coalition of Private School Teachers Association and Union. Thank you, gentlemen, for finding time. And of course, it starts with you. Choose to be patriotic today. Put Uganda first before self. Be that example that we've been looking for, so that people will not only hear the gospel, but also emulate the good examples. We need models in this. We need role models who are going to speak. That is a gospel of action. A person who will say, I had opportunity to take $1 billion, but for love of my country, I left that. Then why wouldn't a young person follow suit? God bless you till tomorrow. Have a lovely day. Be patriotic enough to have that mask on to save the other person. Social distance, regularly wash your hands, sanitize if possible, because we need you alive, and a country can only develop when you're alive. Do it for yourself, not for that police officer, not for the president, not for the Ministry of Health. God bless you.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala.